Hi there. Thank you so much for asking me to speak about the superhero powers of comedy, relieving work-related stress with humor in challenging times. Now, some of you might recognize my voice. I was on The Mix in Toronto for a number of years doing the news, the sports, the weather, the traffic. I was also on Magic 100 in Ottawa doing the news, the traffic. I've been on XM Radio, Comedy Now, comics. So if you recognize my voice, if you like me, my name's Judy Croon. If you don't, my name's Sandy Ronaldo. So just keep that in mind. But hey, how are you folks? It's a sign of the times doing virtual entertaining. I have to do a mic drop. Anyway, I hope you're at least smiling. We do have the cowbell in the back there. I hope you're smiling. When we laugh, we relax. When we relax, we learn. Research at Loma Linda University in California has actually shown that 1 minute of stress can weaken our immune system for 5 hours. On the other hand, 1 minute of laughter can boost our immune system for 24 hours. So you're welcome. Research at Harvard has actually shown that when we get stressed out, the gray matter in our brain actually shrinks. The gray matter is like the factory that builds the messages for the rest of our brain and our body. The white matter is like the highway that those messages travel on. But when we get stressed out, we go into the grip, we can't make decisions or we make bad decisions. I speak at a lot of health and safety conferences, and sometimes those bad decisions can lead to some serious accidents. But again, when we laugh, we relax. When we relax, we learn. Also, what we don't realize is that when we fire off our stress levels, adrenaline and cortisol, certainly there are times at work, there are times at home when we do have to have that reaction, that fight or flight reaction. But too many times we falsely set off our stress hormones. Somebody cuts us off in traffic, somebody gets under our skin. What we don't realize, it actually takes about 45 minutes for our stress levels to get back to normal. And it's this constant overlapping of stress hormones that over time leads to heart attacks, leads to ulcers, can lead to cancers, Alzheimer's. But again, when we laugh, we relax, we learn, and we keep our stress levels at bay. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who think, well, look, you know what, I've got 5 years until retirement, 10 years until retirement. I'm going to stress out, put the stress before the happiness, because once I retire, I can be happy. I can start doing the things that I want to do. And if COVID has taught us anything, it's just putting everything off at the end of the day isn't good for anybody, right? Of course, it's within reason. But the Mayo brothers of course, Mayo Clinic fame, the Mayo physician brothers, said at one point, half of the people around the world, about 10 years ago when the study was done, half of the people around the world were in hospitals with stress-related illnesses. And studies have actually shown us that when we put the happiness before the success, when we try to live a balanced life, which includes being happy, we have a greater chance of being successful. Over 300 separate studies with 250,000 participants over and over have actually shown that when we put the happiness before the success, we have a greater chance of being successful because we keep our right, bright, creative brain engaged. We keep it open instead of going into the grip, instead of firing off our stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. We keep engaged and we have a greater chance of seeing the final goal as well as the steps leading towards the final goal. When we associate information with humor, as a result, we tend to hold on to that information longer because we are using our right, bright, creative side. Couple of examples. A lot of you may have seen Gloria Gaynor doing the I Will Survive video as she was washing her hands for 30 seconds and trying to get the serious message out that people should wash their hands as much as possible during COVID. Mariah Carey and her kids were singing one of Mariah Carey's songs, doing a really cute video together, washing their hands. And of course, these videos went viral, getting an important, serious message out, but having some fun doing it. Another example of using humor to learn, you might have heard of a story about a year and a half ago. A gentleman in Arizona saw a woman pulled off to the side of the road. She was unconscious in her car. He broke the window and he started doing CPR. But here's the thing, he had never taken a CPR course before. However, he saw a very funny episode of The Office where they had a CPR training course. You might have seen it, you might have laughed your head off. It was hilarious. Anyway, there he was on the side of the road doing chest compressions to staying alive, which is actually what they did in the sitcom. That's actually the beats that you should be doing the chest compressions to when you're doing CPR on someone. And this gentleman said that he was actually singing out loud, staying alive, staying alive, as he was doing these chest compressions. He would have never known how to do CPR. He just happened to stumble upon an episode of The Office, a very funny episode, and that stayed in his brain. Paramedics arrived a couple of minutes later. They told him that he probably saved that woman's life. Another example of using information to entertain, airlines, which you're well aware of, with everything going on with COVID. Remember the days we used to fly? Well, airlines had a really difficult time getting people to tune into the safety videos. And a couple of years ago, Southwest Airlines said, wait a second, why don't we try and make these videos, these stodgy videos, important videos, but videos with maybe a little bit more entertainment. Maybe let's make it funny. Let's have some comedians. Let's get some serious information across, but we'll make it more entertaining. Well, I gotta say, it was so cool. I was coming back from Europe a couple of years ago, and it was so neat to hear a plane load of people laughing their heads off on British Airways safety video. They used some of the top actors, you know, that British dry delivery, but very funny stuff, but very important stuff. And I looked around and everybody was tuned into the safety video. Well, again, just like the COVID washing your hands videos from Gloria Gaynor and Mariah Carey, people on the planes not only saw the safety videos, but they started to look for them on YouTube. These videos went viral, and instead of hundreds of people on flights seeing the videos, of course, millions of people saw the videos. And of course, we all know on Facebook, you know, every couple of weeks there's flight attendants doing something different, doing something entertainment with some very serious information. So, you know, I took for granted flying. I will never do that again. And we just know that over time this is going to get back to normal, but it could be a while. So in the meantime, as many times as you can, whenever there's some information, try and associate something fun, something funny, because it will stay in your right, bright, creative side longer. So again, when we laugh, we relax. When we relax, we learn. So what I'd like to share with you, the superhero power of humor, the 7 pillars of relieving work-related stress with humor, they are as follows. Number 1, a positive attitude. A positive attitude includes humor. I think that's so important. I put that as number 1 on the list. Number 2, perseverance. Perseverance gives us passion. Passion gives us push when everybody else drops off. Number 3, forgiveness. When we choose not to forgive, we are firing off our stress levels, thinking about having to deal with somebody at work or at home. Then we're firing off the adrenaline and cortisol again as we're dealing with them. And then afterwards, we're still firing off our stress hormones, thinking about what we should have said instead, some brilliant soliloquy that we should have said instead. The whole time taking quality out of our own lives. Many times these people have gone on, they're not even thinking about you, but there you are literally stewing in your own juices, all right? So forgiveness is really, really big. And especially now with everything COVID going on, it's also very important to forgive ourselves. Too many times people are angry at themselves for not getting technology, for not adjusting. I was driving on the highway the other day. I saw a big billboard and it said, "This is hard. You're doing great." And you know, in that moment, I just needed to hear that. This is hard. You're doing great. It's true. So forgive yourself. Cut yourself some slack. This is different for everybody. Number 4, faith. Believing in something bigger than ourselves. Companies that believe in the wellness of their employees, doing something like you're doing today, those companies hold on to their employees longer. How much longer? They hold on to them up to sometimes 33% longer. Amazing. People want to feel like they're part of a greater purpose, the big picture. Individuals who have that sense of meaning, that sense of purpose, tend to be healthier. All right, so having a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, the big picture. And you know what? It doesn't have to be religious. We all believe in something. You believe in your health. You believe in your family. But having that big picture is good for your health, mental health, and physical health. So faith is number 4. Number 5, healthy mental activity. Never before have we been inundated with so much information. And as we move from an information era where information is becoming accessible to so many more people on the planet, and that's great, but we're moving to a conceptual era where it's not about what we get our hands on, our access to information, but it is what we do with that information, learning how to learn, improving our critical thinking. And in this conceptual era, as a result, it is that much more important to be creative, to be innovative, to be empathic, using our right, bright, creative side. Incredibly important. So healthy mental activity. Number 6, family and friends, the touchstones in our lives. We can't live with them. We can't live without them. And finally, number 7, healthy physical activity. Now, hopefully you'll have an aha moment during this presentation where the next time you feel yourself firing off your stress hormones going into the grip, you'll actually be able to take a step back, keep your stress levels at bay. And if you can do that, if you can be at least aware in that moment, then I hopefully have added some quality to your life, but maybe I've even added some quantity to your life. Maybe by keeping your stress levels at bay, we can add a couple of minutes to your life, a couple of hours, a couple of days or months. And if that's the case, then I've done my job, all right? So let's get going. So quick question, how many people in the group consider themselves positive people? If you're not, that's okay. Comedians tend to be skeptical people. That makes them who they are. But consider this, according to research at the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands, positive people statistically live longer than negative people. How much longer? Up to 10 years longer. Now, how many positive people do we have? And listen, there's no magic or hocus pocus to it. It just makes common sense, all right? Positive thoughts equal positive words, equal positive actions, equal a positive, purposeful life. In fact, if you break that down further, positive thoughts equal positive actions, equal a positive destiny, equal a positive legacy, equal a blueprint that we can give to the next generation. That equals a positive, purposeful life. What's the alternative? Negative words equal negative actions equal Donald Trump. Do you want to be Donald Trump? Yay, Donald Trump is gone. He's left the building, I think. We're not sure. How many people feel like they were living in an episode of American Horror Story for 4 years, right? How many people couldn't believe that somebody that looks like the love child of Carrot Top and Chucky was the president of the United States, right? But listen, yes, I too went to the dark side, but that's when I leaned on the words of Michelle Obama. What did Michelle Obama say? What does she always say? When they go low, we get high. And no, sorry, that's Justin Trudeau. No, when they go low, we go high. And if you need further proof of that, consider something that filmmaker Michael Moore said. Michael Moore, Fahrenheit 9/11, Sicko. Michael Moore said, yes, the inauguration of Donald Trump, remember that fateful day when there were apparently many, many, many millions of people. The inauguration of Donald Trump was shocking, but here's the deal. The day after was something, an incredible event. It was the Women's March, and it wasn't just women marching. Men were marching, kids were marching, March of the Penguins came out of retirement, marching all over the United States, Canada, South America, Europe. And Michael Moore said, if we're going to take a page from the great leaders, if we're going to take a page from the Gandhis, the Mother Teresas, the Nelson Mandelas, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s, if we are to take a page, John Lewis, if we're to take a page from these great leaders, in order for a movement to grow, in order for a movement to be sustained, it has to be peaceful. And one of the most peaceful tools that we have in our tool belt right now is the tool of humor. I'll give you a couple of examples. I don't know how many people still watch the news at night. The news, the headlines seem to be getting scarier and scarier, but I have to say, you know, there's a reason why Fox made $2 billion last year. Fear sells. As Bill Gates says, nobody wants to know about good incremental news. But interestingly enough, more and more people are tuning out of the news, but they're tuning into shows that deliver the news, but deliver the news with a sense of humor. Shows like Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, Canada's own Samantha Bee, Trevor Noah, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. They're all doing what the legends did before them. Carson, Letterman, Leno, before them, Steve Allen, Jack Parr. They're all taking that scary headline, but they're adding a funny punchline. And all of a sudden, we can handle the truth. All right? We use humor as a way to deal with the unknown, to deal with fear. It's part of our caveman brain. When the cavemen and the cave women were hanging out in the cave and they heard a scary noise outside, everybody freaked out. And then afterwards, when a little animal jumped by, everybody laughed because their brain couldn't make out what was happening, something scary, something frightening. But afterwards, as a way of relief, they laughed. And it's part of our caveman brain to use humor, especially when we're scared. Another example of that, when I was working on the Mix in Toronto, we used to do a radiothon every year with Sick Kids Hospital. And I remember I was talking to these parents. They said, Judy, our little boy, when he was going through chemotherapy, thank goodness he's okay now, but when he was going through chemotherapy, we were really afraid. And we look back to those moments, and you know, in some of our darkest moments, we got pretty dark with our humor. And we're not dark people, but yes, our humor got pretty dark. But looking back now, we realize that's what we needed to get through those moments, to get through that fear. A psychologist in Afghanistan in 2009 went to study doctors and nurses and surgeons in the trenches in Afghanistan. And he noted how quick nurses and doctors and surgeons were to share a joke, to share a laugh. And sometimes, again, that humor would be very dark, but it was their way of coping with the unknown. It was their way of coping with the fear and not going into the grip. And as a result, being able to move forward. So humor is incredibly important, especially when we're dealing with the unknown, especially when we're dealing with fear. I remember a story about Reverend Desmond Tutu in 2005. He was speaking after the horrible Rwandan genocide, he was doing a presentation in front of the two groups who were fighting for all those years, the Hutus and the Tutsis. He was speaking to an audience made up of Hutus and Tutsis. He was very nervous about doing this presentation naturally, but someone said to him, well, why don't you open up with a joke? And so he did. He started telling this fictitious story about these two villagers that were fighting over the sizes of their noses. One group of villagers had big noses, the other villagers had small noses, and as a result, they were fighting over the sizes of their noses. And the people in the audience kind of were snickering a little bit until they realized he was talking about them. And he was like, oh, but actually that's when they burst out laughing. And that's when Reverend Desmond Tutu could then go into the rest of his presentation and had an amazing standing ovation afterwards. The Dalai Lama as well uses humor. In fact, he says humor is one of the pillars of joy. That's why the Dalai Lama has that funny giggle. You'll hear him giggle a lot. Sometimes he does it deliberately. He says there is so much sadness in this world that he tries to cope with it with humor. He tries to cope with it with laughing. So, hey, if it's good enough for the Dalai Lama, it's good enough for me. And finally, in terms of the power of humor, in terms of education, a study was done out of Drexel University in Pennsylvania. Two groups of people, they gave them puzzles, and the puzzles were nearly impossible. One group was 13% more successful, and the only difference was that they basically were shown a Robin Williams video, a stand-up comedy video of Robin Williams from years ago, and San Francisco days, and they came in, they had tears in their eyes, they were laughing, they went down to do this incredibly difficult puzzle, and they were 13% more successful. So the power of humor is really, really amazing in keeping our bright, creative brain open. Real estate that not enough people are using. All right, so the power of humor. Now, listen, I'm not a Pollyanna. I certainly recognize the fact that sometimes, hey, you know what? We don't feel like laughing. We don't feel funny. There's nothing funny about this. And that's when I say, put the superhero cloak over your shoulders. The attitude of gratitude. Just by saying thank you, we release all sorts of good chemicals in our brain. And if you need further proof of that, consider a study the UN does every year, the happiest places in the world, and luckily Canada is usually in the top 10 for reasons like we're very tolerant, for the most part we're clean, we're safe, it's not perfect, but we have a healthcare system, we have a welfare system. So Canada's usually in the top 10. The Netherlands are usually in the top 10 as well, except the Netherlands also they have many of the same things as Canada, but they also have the Happiness Institute. They take happiness very seriously in the Netherlands. Switzerland is also in the top 10 usually. Switzerland is one of the wealthiest countries in Europe. But here's the thing, the Swiss attribute their happiness to being orderly and on time. Oh, what fun! But the Swiss also believe that talking about your wealth is incredibly tacky because it might create sadness or unhappiness or envy in the person you're talking to. So they think it's very tacky in North America when a lot of people will start sentences with, hi, how are you? What do you do for a living? That is ixnay in Switzerland. So the attitude of gratitude, very, very important. What was also interesting about the study is that there were some countries that had a lot of crime, a lot of poverty, but they scored higher on the happiness chart than other countries. Indonesia, Mexico, India scored higher than a lot of other countries with less crime, less poverty. And some of the reasons made sense. Again, there's no hocus pocus, but it just made sense that in these countries, there's usually larger groups of people who are all in the same situation. So there isn't the keeping up with the Joneses that we sometimes suffer from here in North America. But what the study also found is that, sometimes advertisers forget about poor countries. Sometimes advertisers aren't marketing towards poor countries. And as a result, poor countries are forgotten about. And as a result, poor people aren't flipping through magazines all day targeted towards them going, you know what, I'll be happy when I buy my own yacht. I'll be happy when I buy my own jet. I'll be happy when I buy my own island. Instead, poor people say, I'm happy to be alive. I'm grateful to be alive. Thank you. And if some kid in Indonesia making $10 a day can find something in their life to be grateful for, who am I here in Canada to complain because I can't assemble my IKEA furniture? Really? Although IKEA furniture is a little bit frustrating. I went to IKEA the other day. It took me 3 hours to assemble my bookshelf. Yeah, it's supposed to be a bed. I'm sleeping on a bookshelf now. It's kind of sad. Bump. Hey, where's my microphone? Where's my microphone when you need it? So anyways, when you're laughing, you also release endorphins. Endorphins are natural painkillers. When you laugh, you release serotonin. Serotonin is known as the happy hormone. Babies have the vocal ability to laugh at 17 days old. Here's the thing though, babies on average laugh 300 times a day. Adults, we laugh, you know what? We laugh about 25 times a day. How sad is that? And I get it. It's hilarious being a baby with the eating, the pooping, the sleeping. But when did we become so self-conscious? When did we lose so many laughs? So humor is incredibly important. And listen, we gravitate to leaders who have that sense of humor, who have that sense of hope. I don't know what your political views are, but I'll tell you something. I would much rather hang out with someone like a Barack Obama who has that great self-deprecating sense of humor than someone like Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump who looks like they look like they haven't cracked a smile since 1965. All right, so we gravitate towards leaders who have that sense of hope, who have that sense of humor, because they don't go into the grip when something scary, something unknown happens. Many times they find the humor, they make a joke. Think about those doctors in the trenches. Think about those parents at Sick Kids Hospital. They make fun of something in that darkness, but then they can see a way out of it. So humor is very, very important, which I can't stress it enough. That's why it is number one on my list. All right, now, I'd like to jump for a second. We're going through this very quickly, which is great, but I would like to jump to number 7 right now for an obvious reason. I'll explain in a second. Number 7, I know you've been following along. Number 7, healthy physical activity. If you read one book this year, it's called Younger Next Year by 2 physicians. And Younger Next Year is basically a book that says it's all about circulation, all right? Sitting is the new smoking. If you do something for yourself, and you know what, working from home, a lot of people working from home, provides a great opportunity to get a little bit of movement once every half an hour. Stand up, stretch, do a couple of laps between the living room and the kitchen. Take your dog for a walk. You don't need a gym membership. Get a dog. Take your dog for a walk. Do something. But once every 30 minutes, do a little something. Just for a minute, because it's all about circulation. Okay, 6 hours of Sitting can undo 1 hour of working out at the gym. But hey, who can't stand up just for a minute while they're watching Netflix at night, for example, right? So right now, let's just take a tiny break. We're going to just take a tiny break, and I would just like you to stand up. I would like you to go on. I can see you. Some of you aren't standing up. I would like you to stand up. I would like you to put your hands above your head, and I would like you to just stretch. Just stretch. Just stretch it out. All right? Just get some movement. Just do some circles with your arms. Okay? Just move your head to the left, move your head to the right. Just stretch it out a little bit. All right, and don't do anything too dangerous, but what I would like you to do is I would just like you to just bend over and touch your toes, or get in the vicinity of at least your knees. Just bend over a little bit, stretch your back, feel the stretch in the back of your legs. Just stretch. Once every 30 minutes, just stretch, okay? And just stay in that position just for 10 seconds, okay? 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. All right, and then slowly come back up. Okay, and get back in front of your computer, but honestly, take a little bit more time to do this when you're at home, or even if you're in the office. Like, honestly, those breaks once every 30 minutes, so important. It's all about circulation. All right, so just a quick review. Relieving work-related stress with humor. We talked about number 1, the power of humor. Number 2, perseverance. Perseverance gives us passion. Passion gives us push when everybody else drops off. I was very lucky to chat with 400 students in Toronto, high school students, at a TED Talk a couple of years ago. And I told them about the superhero power of humor and how my parents had used humor to get through their lives. My parents are from the old countries. My dad's from Holland. My mom's from Guyana. In South America. I'm actually half Dutch, 1/4 Asian, 1/8 black, and 1/8 vodka. It's a perfect combination. Ba-dum-bum. And my parents were very, very strict. But I understand now why they were strict. Growing up in Holland, my dad, during the Second World War, spent most of his time during those years with his family underneath the basement steps, with the kitchen pots over their heads, because Holland got bombed so badly. But he said his parents would, in those especially scary moments, they would tell jokes to the kids. They would tell funny stories just to get them through those unknown times. And yes, sometimes that humor got dark. Meanwhile, my mom was growing up in Guyana, where there was, still is, a lot of poverty, but she said her mother never turned anyone who came to the back door asking for food, even if she could only give them a cup of rice. But my mom said even during those unknown times of poverty, of unemployment, her parents were funny people. And yeah, it wasn't always ha-ha, it was dark, but they got through those moments. So the power of humor is truly, truly amazing, and I use my parents as a great example of just persevering. Number 3, forgiveness. I have a very quick forgiveness exercise because, as I said off the top, when you choose not to forgive somebody at work or somebody at home, you're firing off those stress hormones, and you are taking quality, if not quality, and quantity out of your own lives. So I have a very quick forgiveness exercise, okay? I would like you to close your eyes. I would like you to close your eyes, and I would like you to put your 2 hands out in front of you, okay? Close your eyes, put your 2 hands out in front of you. And now I would like you to imagine someone that when you think of that person, they fire off your stress levels. They fire off your stress levels, okay? Now put your 2 hands around their imaginary neck and just squeeze for 3 seconds. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Okay, let go, let go. All right, shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out, open your eyes, shake it out. All right, it's a 3-second rule, nothing happened. Now, obviously, I'm kidding, but I use this as a visual for a wonderful quote from a book called The Shack. Great, great book. But the quote is, forgiveness is not about forgetting. Forgiveness is just letting go of the other person's neck. Okay, so let go. Forgiveness is huge. Number 5, healthy mental activity. As I said, never before have we been inundated with so much information. We feel overwhelmed by that information. And too many times we try to approach a situation, a problem with our left logical brain when we have all of this free real estate on our right, bright, creative side, that if we just give it an opportunity, it can actually maybe help us see the final goal, see the steps leading towards the final goal. So it becomes so important to just relax and let it happen. Easier said than done. But I'll give you an example. My Second City stand-up students, of course, coaching them online right now, too many times they approach comedy with the attitude of, I've got to write a great setup. I can't write anything hacky. It's got to be original. Okay, now I've got to write a great punchline. It's got to be original. It can't be hacky. And they approach writing comedy, which is supposed to be so creative, with this left logical approach. So I would like to share with you a couple of quick exercises that I do with my Second City students to help them free up their right, bright, creative side. Okay, because as I said, as we move from an information era to a conceptual era, it becomes that much more important in the workplace to be creative, to be empathic, to be innovative, but especially when you're writing comedy. So hey, if comedy students can do this, you can do this, okay? This is just one simple way of freeing up your right, bright, creative side. You might have heard of it already. You might be doing it already. That is meditation. If you're not meditating yet, don't panic. A wonderful study came out of Harvard that said that basically if you were to start today meditating and you just were able to clear your mind 20 to 30 minutes a day over 8 weeks, you would improve the density of the gray matter in your right, bright, creative side. Remember, the factory that builds the messages for the rest of your brain and your body. So it's never too late to start. A great study came out of the University of California actually supporting this, but also adding to the fact that when we meditate 20 to 30 minutes a day, we release an enzyme, an anti-aging enzyme called telomerase. So when our cells are splitting, there's sometimes frayed DNA strands on the end, and telomerase actually repairs that. So if you're suffering from frayed DNA, try the conditioner telomerase. Finally, Tim Ferriss, you might have heard of Tim Ferriss. Entrepreneur Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, but he wrote a lesser known book called Tools of Titans, and he talked to hundreds of entrepreneurs and CEOs, and he wanted to know what was the common denominator to their success. What were some of the common denominators? And you guessed it, over 80% of them meditated. Tim Ferriss says he's been meditating now probably an hour every day sometimes, and he doesn't look at it as time that he is losing. He actually looks at it as time that he is gaining, because ever since he started meditating, he has been actually improving his productivity by 50%. If you need further proof of that, consider a big insurance company in the States took a quarter of their employees and put them in a wellness program. And over 8 weeks, what was truly amazing was, yes, those employees overall became 1 hour more productive by meditating every day for at least 20 to 30 minutes. But the numbers were the proof was in the pudding for their healthcare. Their healthcare costs went down by 7%. So the powers of meditation are just phenomenal. So let's do this again. Let's get you to close your eyes. I'm going to give you some meditation hacks. Okay, let's try some meditation hacks. All right? And again, if this is good enough for stand-up comedians and students, we can certainly do it with you as well today. Okay, so just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. The first meditation hack is very simple. It's actually called square breathing. And we call it square breathing. It's practiced by CEOs. It's practiced by Navy SEALs. And we are basically going to, so just close your eyes, just listen to my voice. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds. You're going to hold it for 4 seconds. And then you're going to release it for 4 seconds. Okay, we're going to do this 4 times. In under a minute, you can trigger your parasympathetic nervous system. This is like your subconscious nervous system to relax. Okay. So breath number 1, inhale, 101, 102, 103, 104, and hold it, 101, 102, 103, 104, and release, 101, 102, 103, 104. Breath number 2, inhale, 101, 102, 103, 104. Hold it, 101, 102, 103, 104. And release, 101, 102, 103, 104. Breath number 3, inhale, 101, 102, 103, 104. Hold it, 101, 102, 103, 104, and release, 101, 102, 103, 104. Breath number 4, inhale, 101, 102, 103, 104. Hold it, 101, 102, 103, 104, and release, 101, 102, 103, 104. Okay, so just keep your eyes closed. That is meditation hack number 1. It works when you are stressed out at work, you are stressed out at home. You just basically need 1 minute just to trigger your parasympathetic nervous system. But guess what? This also works great at nighttime when we're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and we're stressed out and our mind is racing. Practice square breathing. If it's good enough for Navy SEALs, if it's good enough for CEOs, if it's good enough for comedians, it's good enough for you. Okay? Okay, meditation hack number 2. And this is a really great one. Again, if you are feeling particularly stressed at work, at home, or waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is also another really easy exercise to do. Just keep your eyes closed. And what I'd like you to do with your eyes closed, I'd like you to scrunch up your fists really hard for 10 seconds, okay? 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. Now release your fists. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. Okay, I'd like you to tighten your stomach muscles for 10 seconds. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, and release your stomach muscles. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. Okay, last one. I want you to tighten your leg muscles for 10 seconds. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, and release for 10 seconds. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110. Okay? Giving you three opportunities. Keep your eyes closed. But if you're lying in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, or it's just something's happening at work and you are stressed out, you can scrunch up your face, then scrunch up your neck, then scrunch up your stomach muscles, scrunch up your hands. Just work down your body, okay? Great, great meditation. All right, so I've shared a lot of information with you in this presentation. Number one, we are running out of time, but number one, really quickly, a positive attitude. A positive attitude includes humor. Number two, perseverance. Perseverance gives us passion. Passion gives us push when everybody else drops off. Number three, forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge because when we choose not to forgive, we are firing off our stress levels. Faith, believing in something bigger than ourselves. It doesn't have to be spiritual. It doesn't have to be religious. God, Buddha, Allah, Walmart, something, anything, because it's healthier for us. Number five, healthy mental activity. Never before have we been inundated with so much information. How do we access that real estate, our bright, creative side as we move into this conceptual era? Meditation is just one of the techniques that is such a fantastic way of accessing that part of our brain. Number six, family and friends, the touchstones in our lives. And finally, number seven, healthy physical activity. If you take one thing away from that, remember to move once every 30 minutes. Just stretch. Is that a nerdy way of doing that with my glasses? Just stretch. Once every 30 minutes, do a couple of laps somewhere. Take the dog out for a walk, but just move. Movement. It's all about circulation. Now, I've shared a lot of information with you. You can definitely go to my website anytime, judycroon.com, if you want to send me an email, if there's something that I've mentioned you can't remember. If you want to sign up for my newsletter. But I would like to share one last story with you because storytelling is a fantastic way to remember information. Okay, and if stories are funny or if they're a little bit quirky, we have a greater chance of remembering the information. Now, you may have heard this story already, but it touches on the pillars that I talked about. So that's why I like to use it, okay? Here it is. A farmer has a donkey and the donkey falls down a well. Now, the farmer doesn't have the money to buy the expensive equipment to get the donkey out of the well, so he does the next best thing he thinks. He grabs a shovel and he starts burying the donkey. And the donkey's kicking and braying and panicking, and all the villagers run to the edge of the well. They go, "What the heck are you doing?" But all of a sudden, the most miraculous thing happens. The next shovel of dirt that goes down the well, the donkey shakes it off and he takes a step up onto the dirt. The next shovel of dirt that goes down the well, the donkey shakes it off and he takes a step up onto the dirt until eventually the donkey walks out of the well. Now, life is going to throw a lot of dirt on us. Life's going to throw a lot of challenges on us. The key is to learn from those challenges and take a step up. And remember the 5 laws to life. Free your heart from hatred. Forgive. Free your mind from worry. Most of the things we worry about never happen. Practice gratitude. Remember the attitude of gratitude, the superhero cloak, the attitude of gratitude. Give more and finally expect less. Now, do you want to know what happened to the donkey? When the donkey walked out of the well, he turned around and he bit the farmer. The farmer died from septic shock. The real moral of the story, when you try to cover your ass, it comes back to bite you. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. And like I said, if you like me today, my name's Judy Croon. If you don't, my name's Sandy Ronaldo. SandyRonaldo.com. All right, laugh long and prosper. Thank you.